A very different story is unfolding tonight about a stolen van full of dogs. We have the surveillance tape that shows exactly what happened.
Beware, a $65 tow could actually cost you hundreds of dollars. Tonight, an exclusive investigation into why Chicago is known for the worst towing scams in the entire country.
And a 3-year-old paralyzed cancer victim and the incredible effort by strangers to give him the gift of mobility. Fox 32 News starts now. President Obama back in Washington tonight, but before leaving Chicago this evening, he stopped by his Kenwood home, reportedly getting an update on Chicago's bid to land the Presidential Library. And the Southside is the location for America's newest national monument.
President Obama personally delivered the designation today to the Pullman community. He signed the official documents in a Chicago public school originally founded by George Pullman. The president noted that Pullman's rail car company was the second largest employer of African Americans in the country. One of those Pullman porters was an ancestor of First Lady Michelle Obama.
One of those porters' great-granddaughter had the chance to go to a great college and a great law school, and had the chance to work for the mayor, and had the chance to climb the ladder of success and serve as a leader in some of our city's most important institutions. And I know that because today she's the First Lady of the United States of America.
Designating Pullman a national monument doesn't by itself bring many federal dollars. With most of the surviving factory structures in ruins, tens of millions of dollars, perhaps even more, will eventually be needed. That's why our political editor, Mike Flannery, is so fired up tonight.
Well, Dawn, it really boils down to whether we're going to be serious or not about telling the amazing Pullman story, and telling it in a way that will grab the attention of a 21st century audience. Boy, what a story it is. Celebrating Pullman's big day was one multi-ethnic family whose ancestors from Mexico, Ukraine, and Germany started arriving here in 1906 to build Pullman rail cars. More than a century later, they still live in the old company town built by George Pullman. Like their forebears, brothers Al and Ray worked on rail cars right up till the final facility closed in the 1980s. They've saved hundreds of objects that illustrate Pullman's story.
This is the bar of soap they give you to supply you when you took a shower on the train.
Their ancestors saw Pullman as both an economic opportunity and a refuge from political oppression in other places. Union activists recall the 1894 strike at Pullman as key to the birth of America's union movement.
The story of Pullman is the story of how workers can get together and organize for a better life.
It is also a story about the genius of American capitalism, about how George Pullman, born into a modest evangelical minister's family, created an industrial giant. Pullman is also part of President Obama's story. He spent 3 years as a community organizer in the area. His mother-in-law worked in the Pullman Bank. His wife's ancestors include a Pullman porter, among those who helped found what became the modern civil rights movement.
Historic Pullman teaches us we have to keep standing firm and together. That's the story of who we are. That's the story of our past.
There are conflicts in those stories, but when you look at it through that historic lens, you recognize the importance of this place.
You know, and that's exactly what I find so exciting about this new national monument. Pullman embodies issues Americans are still quarreling over, not the least the role of labor unions and of government regulation of giant industries. So here's what I say, because there really is a serious money issue down there. If you want to be sure that your side of the story is heard, write a check. Get involved. This new park is so exciting, Dawn and Jeff, precisely because it's so relevant to what's going on today.
You say there's a money issue. How much money do they have now?
Well, donors have contributed. Some of them pushed hard. Manuel, about $8 million of the $15 million that's going to be needed to convert that clock tower, the iconic clock tower there, into a visitor center. But that's very modest. I mean, to tell this story, I think they need hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, Mike, as you know, I recently discovered more about my great-grandfather, who was a Pullman porter as well. He died before I met him. I only heard about him through my grandfather, who was an orthopedic surgeon here in Chicago. There's my great-grandfather. I was very close to my grandfather, and he and my dad told me a lot about Pullman porters and the Pullman community. About a year ago, Ancestry.com came here to surprise me with all of this information, all of these pictures, and with all kinds of facts about my Chicago family. And months ago, before we knew about the National Monument designation, the A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum asked me to MC their awards gala. Truly a coincidence. It's next weekend on Saturday, February 28th at the Parkway Ballroom.
It's fascinating. So, you know, you have a connection here.
I do.
Yeah.
Great-grandfather was a Pullman porter. Yep. I've been to Pullman many, many times.
Okay.
Especially on Sundays. We used to go to brunch in one of the historic buildings there.
Oh, but that was fun.
Yeah, after church.
Okay, cool.
More to hear from that community.
Thank you, Don. Well, President